Well, it's fear of loss, right? So the people are slow to act on their own behalf, but once you put an opportunity in front of them, look, here's the deal. How many people in the last couple of years have said, well, I really, really want one. I just want to find somebody that wants one first. It's just amazing how the human mentality is because but then once that opportunity comes along, it's fear of loss.
Have you ever had anybody sign up with the Takurai kit?
Sure. Save them though. Don't use too many because the month that you go 6A, they're very, very helpful to have a few. So how many have you used?
Well, is there a limit to how many you can use?
Yeah, you can use 5 in each 6A position.
Oh, no, I've never used any, actually.
Okay. Well,
a couple. I actually had a guy that was going to sign up using a Takurai through all of this, but then I found out that in order for somebody to do a Takurai, it has to be a machine that's paid for in full. It can't be Enagic financing.
who told you that?
It says it right on the form. It says it has to be paid for. It can't be any special financing.
Okay.
I
Well,
would imagine that.
And here's the thing. I'll just give you the 2-minute version on why it's good too. I mean, you can use them, obviously. I support you in using them, but here's why you want to save a couple because, the month that you go 6A, you need 10 in your business in a 30-day period, and you need to be over the 300 grand. So let's say you come to me and it's February 1st and you say, Dan, I'm at 92 and I've already got 4 deals. Well, what happens with the Tokarais, you can take one of those already established deals that you have, and you can grab anybody randomly. You could grab a brother, a sister, anybody, and put them in between the deal that you have paid for, because as long as you have a paid for deal, you can do it. And that actually counts as 2 of your 10 instead of 1, even though they're not physically paying for anything.
Oh.
So what happened was, like with me, I'll give you a hypothetical. The month that I was trying to go 6A2, I was doing it on my weak side. So, and then, you think you have a count and then you go in and get a regular count. Well, I don't know if you remember this, but, the UCONs count for a little bit less. Your travel units, even though I only had 1 or 2 in my business, counted for half at the time. And so I went in about 10 days into the month and I said, okay, I only need like 3 more. And they go, no, once we take all your deductions, you're like back to 10. And I was like, what? So I had to use some Tokarais because the thing is like I said, so 4 deals became 8 deals. And that kind of pushed me over the finish line because I ended up needing a lot more than 10 in that one particular side of my business that month. So just good information for most people to know because, for somebody who's going 6A, I mean, 10 deals in a month in the points can be a little bit much. And, if you save even 3 of those, 3 is 6 and then 4 more and you hit your mark and you get your bonus, you get your bonus for the next 6 months. So, a lot of people say, going 6A is a $3,000 deal, but it's not. It's quite a bit more than that. And so there's a lot more on the line than people really realize. And so, it's good to hit your mark.
Yeah. Have you ever heard about what Sebastian Restrepo's little method of madness?
Mm-mm.
Well, he's got an interesting little method of madness that I thought was quite brilliant. This is what he did, and he's like 2 sales away from going 6A.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did is he bought his first machine, and then after he got 10 sales under it, he bought a second machine underneath himself. And by doing that, his first machine went 3A.
Sure.
And he got 3 points.
Yeah, it's called the 4x4 method.
Right. And
it's a way to get all 8 points at 44 sales.
Right. And he ended up taking his second machine and started building under that. And once he got to the point of having 22 total sales, he's 3A on both positions, and now everything else he pushes down under there, he's getting 6 points.
Yeah, and the only thing that I would caution about on that for the average person is the fact that you go technically what they call inactive status, and you start to lose a little bit of the monetary after 90 days. So if you're not doing something in that top position, so when people say to me, okay, well, I saw this plan, it's called the 4x4 plan is what somebody calls it. You can look it up if you type in 4x4 plan on YouTube. It's very interesting. The girl does a very, very good job of explaining it. But she shows you how to essentially be getting all 8 points at 40 machines, 42 machines. But here's a little tip for people, because like I said, so if JJ has a position and buys from himself at 21 or 11, and then stacks everything underneath the bottom position, eventually after 90 days, there's no direct sale to the top position. So JJ will start to lose first the special bonus point at 90 days. And then at 6 months, your commissions go to half. So if you're somebody who's not doing a lot of direct sales, I would caution you against that method, or I would support you in doing, once again, I'm sorry, I'm on a live webinar right now. See, you're on camera, but you can contact me later. Okay. Somebody just contacted me from India on Messenger, and I told her, I said, I can't come on because I'm doing a webinar, and she's called 3 times anyway, so I just wanted to answer it. But what happens, JJ, is now think about what happens with the UCON though. If you take that top position and at 11 or 21 do the UCON under it, and the UCON works as this windmill that's constantly keeping the top. So there's 2 schools of thought. I support the one in the UCON because you never have to worry about where you're at with the top position. Because when you start having to juggle, where's my direct and when was the last time I got one? And, you know, I mean, we do this business and it's not easy. And when you're a 2, 3, 4A, I mean, you're not going to have a direct sale down below or a direct sale or up top all the time every month. I mean, you're going to have stagnated deals, and you're going to have things you have to work and take time on. And the business takes time to get momentum, and the easiest way to do that is to tie that UCON down below, and then you'll never miss a commission. Yeah,
that's actually I know that's what Tim teaches.
Sure.
But one thing that is kind of cool that Enagic has instituted is that enroller position.
Mm-hmm.
What you got to do is just make sure that every 90 days you take one of your sales and you sign yourself up as the enroller.
Right.
And that takes care of that 90-day deal.
Yeah, and you mean like put the sponsor down below, but the enroller up top type of thing?
Yeah,
right.
Like I would take, if I needed to, I'd take take a sale that's going to go down underneath one of my people.
Right.
Because I've leveraged them in or whatever, and then I go ahead and put myself my number 1 position as the enroller.
Right.
Of course, I've got UCON underneath me, and so
you don't have to worry about it.
Worry about that, but the other people that are using the other strategy, they would have to be mindful of that. And
well, and that's
with Tina, I've got to be mindful of that because she bought an NSBA and then bought a machine under her NSBA, and so I've got to make sure that the NSBA position gets an enroller every 90 days. And, you know, for me, it's like, hey, it's worth it to pay attention to that.
Oh, yeah.
That way I'm not throwing away all these extra points, you know.
Well, you know, I mean, come on, you know, that's the first rule of doing this if you're going to really do it. And that's to, you know, treat it like a business. I mean, you said, well, I would suggest people be mindful of it. I mean, if you have a store, you don't go, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure we got inventory coming this week. We're, you know, I think, you know, the bread truck might come, you know, so you have to treat it like a business, brother. I mean, you know, it's Friday night, but I don't know if we have any alcohol. I mean, you know, you don't treat it like that. You treat it like a business. And, you know, and even if you're only doing it 10 hours a month, 5 hours a month, the time that you are doing it, treat it like a business.
Yeah.
Treat it like a business and it'll pay you like a business. Treat it like a hobby and it'll do that as well.
You know, brother, this is my thought process in regards to that. And I recommend that everybody look at it this way. And I didn't come up with this. I learned it from Sam. And, you know, when he was in Hawaii on vacation with his family, he came on the Kong Family Show.
Mm-hmm.
For his Wednesday show. You know, he comes in on the first Wednesday of every month, and I'll be danged if that little rascal doesn't make it, no matter where he's at, no matter what he's doing. He's actually come on the show twice from Hawaii, when he was basically the second time he was out there for that big convention. And then the first time he was actually on vacation with his wife, and his wife got mad at him. And he actually said, honey, you're not getting it. This isn't a job.
Right.
This is my life.
Yeah.
And I don't, you know, we don't quit our life. We don't stop our life. We don't put our life on hold. You know, we don't stop living because we're on vacation. No, you know, it's like Tina and I are heading to Hawaii for the first time ever in a month. And, I'm still going to be doing the Kong Family shows from Hawaii. I'm like, hey, this will be awesome. I'll be doing the show from the beach or whatever, you know, and so for me, I don't ever intend on having this be something that I'm not doing. It's just like everywhere I go, everything I do, I'm talking Kong, baby.
Yeah.
I don't ever take a day off, ever. Never will either.
Well, and like that's me. It's like I always, I mean, I always treat it like a business, but even more so, like Liz is really, you know, like she'll have something that can be considered like a commitment, a small commitment, a big commitment, whatever it is, but she always treats it the same way. I mean, something big will come up and she's like, I can't do that. I've already committed to this. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. You're missing this to do this, but it's just, that's the commitment that she made and she sticks to it, where I'm much more like, well, hey, wait a minute, I can get somebody else to handle this and then I'm going to go take care. So it's, but yeah, I mean, I'm 24/7 always working like a business, but you know, I try not to work that hard and try and work a little bit smart, you know?
Yeah. Well,
doesn't mean that it always works.
What's that saying, that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life?
I know. And that's where I really get into the thing, because, you know, I just don't feel like, and I know it can be time consuming, and for us, like in our situation, for a spouse, it's just like, oh my God, you're always on, but it doesn't feel that way to me. There's nothing else. You know, I had a guy, who I used to work for some years ago, and, we were stopping by and he goes, you know, now don't get me wrong. I'm just, you know, trying out the tires here, but you know, what if I was to offer you this, and this? And I told him, brother, I mean, for a lot more money, I wouldn't quit what I'm doing. I mean, I just wouldn't. I mean, there's just nothing else I want to do. You know, there's nothing else that feels the same, you know? I mean, there's just not a number right now, you know? There's just not a number right now. I mean, I don't know how that changes, but for me, it's just not something I consider or think about. And, you know, I love what I do, and I love watching, you know, Enagic grow, especially like in the last 4.5 years. I've got to see a lot, and we'll talk about that too if you'd like to. They had a pretty big meeting at the Seattle office with the new head of the business division, and we can go over some of the things they covered there too if you'd like. But
I'd love to hear what went on up there. That I know that's a big point of interest for a lot of people. What's going on, what we can say, what we can't say, and then there's also the thing with old Billy Boy.
Sure, yeah, we can cover whatever you'd like first. Either you pick the topic. I'll try and give you the straightest information I can.
Well, seems how I put in the description of today's meeting that we were going to be talking about.
Okay.
Why don't we start there and then move on to the meeting?
All right, yeah, because the meeting was really good information. So, you know, just to clarify on that, you know, the information just came out, but it wasn't new information. Liz, how long ago do you think that was that I went over there? It's probably been 8 or 9 months now, and I have a lady in my business who's trying to say, because I want to do this as close to the close to home as possible without divulging anything. But anyway, she's introduced me to a lot of high-end clients, to a lot of people that have extreme wealth. For people that are around the country. I mean, I was getting messages after this thing with Gates, and from Thailand and Indonesia and Malaysia, and probably that's why this lady from India called. I had a couple people get a hold of me, but I'm right here in Bothell, Washington. I'm 10 minutes, 15 minutes from this epicenter of Medina and Hunts Point, and it's an incredibly wealthy little place in Seattle. And over the years, she's definitely introduced me to some people that you were just kind of like, whoa, and you walk in and you're looking at these houses just going, this is amazing. But this particular day, she walked me into a house that if I said the last name, everybody on here would know instantaneously. It's a name everybody would know, and it's a name that would be known around the country. And we were in a spectacular home on the water, $25-30 million house. And there was another, obviously the gal was with me, so all of this stuff can be verified, but we were doing the demo, and the people had asked about what is this, and let me clarify this too. We were basically on the same street, so I was 3, maybe 4 houses down from the gate, so I knew exactly where I was. And when you get up to that kind of money and those kind of people, it's a very small circle, right? I mean, I'm sure everybody can imagine. And, you think Enagic's a little small family. Imagine, when you get into that kind of, zip code and things like that. And so I was very cautious when I was asked, but a few minutes into the demo, 15-20 minutes into the demo, she said to me, I keep seeing all this stuff on the internet about the Gates is owning these machines. And, I do yoga with Melinda probably 2-3 days a week when she's in town. We're on the board of directors of it. She named off about 5 different things, some hospital boards they sit on. And so when she said, so what do you make of all this stuff on the internet about Bill and these machines? I mean, this is the same machine, right? And I go, and I thought for a second, and I'm not a dumb guy, and I, and usually, and I'll be honest, JJ, in the past, when people have answered that question to me, I would say, yeah, that's what I hear, I hear he loves them, I hear he travels, I hear this, I hear that. But, I thought about where I was, and she had a very serious look on her face, and I said, ma'am, to be honest with you, I don't know those people. I mean, I could never in any way, shape, or form confirm or deny if somebody like that had that machine. I mean, I could speculate. Now, I agree with you that I've seen the things that you've seen, but I could never, ever confirm or deny information like that because I just don't know them, right? Well, it turns out that I was lucky that I answered that way because she had the information with her of what they actually use. And when things died down in the demo, so she didn't play all of our cards at the time, but she let me finish the demo. And what was funny is there was another lady in the living room who, it's so funny, I had gone to school with but hadn't seen her since 8th grade. So we tied up our business there. She let me know. Hey, I'll think about it, this, that, and the other. It seems interesting. She was a little bit put off by something else that happened at the demo. Not that I did, but that somebody else did. And so there was one of those moments. And then the gal, as I was leaving the thing, who was in the living room goes, hey, do you have 10 minutes? I want to go down the street and show this to my husband. And I go, and you know how it is when you do a demo. I mean, all my stuff, I'm packing it back in and I'm just like, man, I don't know. And we drove literally 3 or 4 houses down the street to her house. And her husband goes, man, are you kidding? I'm not buying one of those things. He goes, I've seen those things for years. I'm not buying one of those things. And I kid you not, 45 minutes later, I left his house with an order for 3 platinums and 2 spas. But back to the thing, me and her had a close relationship. And she said, man, you got lucky back there. She goes, her and her have been dear friends for years. And she goes, I've seen all that stuff on the internet. They don't own a Kongan machine. They've never owned a Kongan machine. And she goes, I'll actually show you something. And then the other gal that I've known for years showed me the thing from Melinda Gates. I mean, I'm just going to say that from then. And it said Kongan, question mark, question mark, question mark, IDK. These are what are all over the house. And it was a very, very, very rudimentary. It dispensed hot and it dispensed cold. There was no ionization capabilities whatsoever. I was floored. I mean, I was dumbfounded, floored. I mean, everything that I had heard, I was like, what? Oh my God. I mean, I didn't know what to make of it. I thought back to, you know, all the times and stuff that I had misspoke, but, you know, that's the problem with what we hear in Enagic, you know, and we'll get to that, what they're talking about at the training, because every demo is a 1 or 2 percentile different of the demo that you heard, and then the demo that your sponsor heard. And so all of a sudden we end up on this field where we're 35–45% away from the truth. And, you know, and you can ask Steve, the first thing I did to Steve is I got a copy of what this thing was. And I said, you know, this is what they own. What do I do with this? And he goes, I don't even know how you tell people, brother. He goes, I don't know what to say. And there was some anxiety and stress about it. I mean, I you know, talked to Liz and I was like, man, I'm perplexed with this. It just, and then what really started to bother me was, you know, seeing it grow over the years. You know, when I joined Enagic, he had 8 machines, then it was 16 machines, then it was 24 machines. And I went to a demo last week and the guy actually said that he had 52 machines. 50. And then the next day after I had gone to this demo where it said 52, that's the day we sat down in the business training that I'm going to talk about with you. And she stressed compliance. She stressed the truth. She stressed the fact that we have, which you've heard me say 1,000 times, we have the most amazing device on the planet that nobody knows about. We don't need to fabricate about it. We don't need to lie about it. If we share the water with people, they have a dramatic effect. And the next morning I got up and just said, you know, I'm just going to make the post. And, you know, you saw that I caught a lot of crap for it, but here's the interesting thing. Way back 9 months ago, and I'm not going to speak too much because I don't know what was going through his head and I don't know what would possess a man to do that. But I jumped on a plane 2 days later. This was about 9 or 10 months ago, and I jumped on a plane and had to go to Oklahoma, and I was doing some machines in the Midwest. And I had the morning and I said, you know what, this is just ridiculous. I mean, I knew because JJ, this wasn't like hearsay from a buddy. It's like when somebody like that, like if you're standing there talking to a lady who's in a $30 million home, she doesn't have to lie to JJ Surprise. I mean, no disrespect, but you, me, we're nobody in that world. You know what I mean? We are nobody in that world. I mean, the only reason she ushered me out of the house that day is they were having a dinner party for 250 people, and you probably would have known half the people on the list. You know what I mean? Just by name. You don't know any of them, but just by name. I mean, it was just a who's who of Washington. So, you know, I knew dead serious that the information that they gave me was 100% the truth. And so I tracked this guy down in California who supposedly was on this stage in 2012 and said all of these things. And, you know, I won't go too far into it, but his story changed dramatically from the one he's told in 2012. And luckily for me, a couple of leaders got a hold of me when the post came out and said, well, you better be serious about this because we know that gentleman very, very well. And then actually they reached out to him and he said to them the exact same thing that he said to me when I called him from Oklahoma. And let's just put it this way. There was zero confirmation of any kind whatsoever that he had actually A, taken that phone call that he claimed to have taken, and B, sold a machine to anybody.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go into, I'm not going to say what he said, and it's not important. You know, for some reason he felt, and people were, you know, and then people were going, well, that's wrong of Enagic and da-da-da-da-da, and they should have never let that. That wasn't an Enagic certified event. That was an event put on the distributor. JJ Surprise can put on an event tomorrow in Utah, and I can show up and claim whatever I want. That was not an Enagic sanctioned event. That was an event put on just by distributors and, you know, whatever. And, you know, I just think that it got out of hand for him, you know.
You know, I've got a couple of comments in regards to that whole situation.
Okay.
Also something that I think is kind of funny that I want to add to it. But, you know, first off, that guy that I've actually seen that speech, and one of our people that's has been on the Kong Family Show. He's actually comes in live all the time on the live side, and he says, you know, him and his wife were at an Enagic event. But said it's really not an Enagic event. Like when
Coco, sorry, can you start again? I'm sorry, I got 2 dogs barking.
No worries. It's just like when Fred Brown puts on an event down there in Las Vegas. That's a Fred Brown event. That's not an Enagic event, and it's the same thing as what you're talking about right here. That 2012 event that has been getting referenced. You know, Johnny Stevens is talking about that right here. He says he was at an Enagic event, which, Johnny, it wasn't an Enagic event. It was just a distributor event, like Dan just pointed out. And it was at Disney, and the guy got up on stage and said that he was the one who sold the systems to Bill Gates and talked about his home. And, you know,
he also states in there, he personally called me. He uses those words, he personally called me. Now, like I said, I'm not going to say anything about him, but the story he gave me 9 months ago and the story he gave the 2 leaders that got a hold of him this weekend was, well, it's complicated. That was all done through a third party. So I'm going to stop it right there. But he made no mention of a third party or anything like that when he was on stage.
Right. And the thing is, you know, to me, I know there's a lot of people out there that they'll just discount that as like, oh, well, he didn't mean it or whatever. You know, for me, that kind of stuff is absolute nonsense. I don't have any tolerance for it. I know a lot of people do. But I'm only interested in the truth. And I think it's disgusting when somebody gets up there and tells a bald-faced lie in front of a giant group of people. And for me, that's a big problem with, you know, that person right there. You know, I'm one of these people that when I catch somebody lying to me, there ain't no way they're ever going to gain my trust ever again. It ain't happening, you know, period. Plain and simple. And, you know, a lot of people, they'll let somebody lie to them over and over and over again and still continue to trust them. And I'm not one of those people. And so whoever this guy is, I don't even know who he is. But I know that I wouldn't trust him, you know, because if he's willing to do something like that, that's some pretty shady stuff right there, bro. You know, and I don't care who he is. I don't even want to talk about his name. I don't even know who he is or anything like that. But that's just my thought process on it, is that, you know, we especially with people don't realize something, Dan, and this is what's so important, why I'm so glad you put that post out there, is that being that we're in the so-called network marketing business, we're in the direct sales industry, whatever, we have to hold ourselves to a different standard. We're not just a regular old plain old company. People need to get this. We have to work under a different set of rules with everything we do, with our medical claims, with our income claims, that kind of thing. You know, with lies, we can't be lying to people. You know, for a regular standard old company to be out there telling lies is one thing. For a network marketing company to be out there telling lies, that's something that could literally get us shut down.
Well, can I take it one step further? And part of the reason that really made me want to do what I did last week is because you hit on a good point. For an eyelash company to lie is one thing. For a network marketing company that markets eyelashes, that's another. But let's take it one step further down the rabbit hole. A company that threatens an industry that is the most powerful people in the world. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if you're into politics or not. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. Every single one of those people is owned by Big Pharma. Every one of them. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're listening from. And I don't care what side you're on. Whoever you think you like, is taking money from big pharma. I don't care who they are. Let's just get that straight. So when you start threatening an industry like that, that is making that kind of money. Now, I'm not making a medical claim, but I've had 3 people in the last 7 days alone get a hold of me and go, dude, here's my high blood pressure before I started drinking this water. Here it is today. I've changed nothing else. Okay. So when you start threatening that industry, you better have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. But here's the thing, when you're threatening an industry like that and you're lying about people like this, you're just trying to cross a moat filled with crocodiles and hope you end up lucky. And that's just not a position I want to be in. I mean, when we're dealing with the FTC, we're dealing with the pharmaceutical market, we're dealing with all kinds of things, and we have to be as squeaky clean as possible. And that's why, after talking to this new director of sales, they brought her in for a reason. She's worked with massive network marketing organizations before, and it's a shame. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit it. I'm still lacking in understanding how a pharmaceutical company can get up there for 4 seconds and say, this may help you with this, and then 26 seconds of blood coming out of every orifice, and you may faint, you may, fall asleep while driving and kill 9 people. They can say whatever they want, as long as 2 seconds of that story is true. And then we actually have something that works. We actually have something that physically works, and we can speak nothing on it. That right there should just go to show you the power of what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And so being extra careful is mandatory.
Yeah. And it's just like with Rife technology, they can't say one word about what it does. Nothing.
Who?
Rife, Royal Raymond Rife. I'll have to send you the link to him, man. His story is one of the most amazing things I've ever heard. I mean, knowing everything I know, I've been studying the whole cancer thing for 27 years. And in reading Bob Wright's book, I found out about Royal Raymond Rife, and I was actually quite pissed off that I didn't know who this guy was. But, when I read his story, it literally broke my heart and made me cry. And, I'll send you the link to it. But it's just a short story that explains his gig. But the thing is his technology has been brought back out again. It didn't get buried like they tried to bury it, because there were actually some honest people involved with this information who brought it back into the world. And it is available, but you can't talk about it. They can't say one word about it without getting shut down. So it's really crazy. But the thing is, kids, this is the main thing. And John Stevens just posted on the live side, Dan, he said exactly, the truth should be told. There were a lot of Enagic leaders hosting that Change Your Life weekend. Thank you for clearing this up. And that's what it was, John. That was just a bunch of Enagic leaders putting on a show. It wasn't Enagic themselves. And so, like McGaffin, he accused Enagic of hypocrisy in this regard. And what he needs to remember is that this was not an Enagic event. This was something.
And can I say one last thing about that event? So the leaders that reached out to me, some of the leaders that were there, like I wanted to say, like I said earlier, I'll reiterate that all of those leaders a few of those leaders have gotten a hold of that guy, confirmed him. At least he was honest. He told them the exact same story that he told me. But both leaders that contacted me this week said, at the time, that guy was selling a lot of machines to some pretty big time people. So nobody would have ever doubted him. And so it just became what it came. And, the thing is, but nothing really needs to be said more than that. I just wanted people to know, A, it's not true. And B, we don't need it. Have you ever pulled out a slide of Bill Gates holding a sign saying, I have 24 machines, and somebody said, well, then write me up. It doesn't matter.
All right.
It doesn't matter.
There's only one last thing I want to say about this, and this is the part that I thought was kind of funny. I think I got to thinking about this like super early this morning when I had to get up and go pee. I came back to bed and I was thinking about this, and I thought, the best solution to this problem is to have our good buddy Dan Edland get on over there to Bill Gates' house and get that boy a machine.
Well, I'll tell you what, the lady that I left that house there that day has become an amazing advocate. And I mean, I guess I can talk about her because I'm not going to give it her name, but she has an insane house in Bellevue. She has a beautiful home at the base of this mountain in Canada. And they have an insane estate out on what they call like Camino Island out here. So she has three homes that you just would not believe. She has conga machines in all three of them now. She has spas in all three of them. And, you know, she's constantly advocating on my behalf. Let's just say that she's a huge believer. Her husband loves the water. She loves the water, and you know, we'll just see where it goes. But you know,
we'll have one eventually.
Well, here's the thing. Some people tried to beat me up pretty bad after that thing and go, well, look at this guy in 2012 talking on stage, and until you can show me I'm riding with him. And I just said, you can do what you want, but I can tell you right now, I'm a lot closer to proving he doesn't than anybody on the planet Earth can prove that he does, because he doesn't. And, right. You know, I can't speak for anything in the last 9 months, but I'm telling you, on the day when I went into that house, 1,000%. And you got to remember too, this lady that I was in her home she's an old Seattle name. And she had made the comment to the gal about the machines, that bought all the machines, right there with me in front of her. And she said, do you guys even realize the thin red line you are even saying something about a gentleman like that when it's not the truth? And when that lady said that, I knew beyond all shadow of a doubt, and I would have bet $1,000 to a red penny, I knew that he was not an owner of a Kongan device.
Yeah. And so everybody listening to this, just beware of this, you know, and let's take this as a lesson that we simply must stick with the truth. We cannot be spreading any kind of lies. If you don't know for sure that something is true, then just keep it to yourself until you can verify that it's 100% true. Don't be saying anything about anybody without knowing 100% that it's accurate. You know, you guys, because you're endangering not only yourself, but every one of us in the entire company. And this is something for people to realize. And I pointed this out to Tim the other day, is that what we're talking about here is we're talking about EnagicUSA.
Yes.
We're not talking about Enagic. We're talking about EnagicUSA. And that means that basically if the FDA or the FTC or someone comes in and wants to shut us down, Enagic's just going to say, okay, goodbye. And that's it. And it's not going to be like it was with Amway back in the 80s when Amway went to court against the federal government. And basically, like people say, you know, the only reason we're here is because of Amway. Well, that was a different story. Amway was a U.S.-based company.
Right.
It's not. Enagic will keep on keeping on. They'll just be one less country. Instead of doing business in 172 countries, they'll be doing business in 171 countries.
Well, and let me put some light on that for you too, JJ, because so you talk about people, you know, thank you for bringing that up, because that is a huge valid point. Because so I'll give you a hypothetical. The Seattle office does 325 to 350, maybe 375 machines a month. 2.5 hours, if you get in your car at the Enagic office and you drive 2.5 hours north and cross the border and go 10 minutes over the border to the Vancouver office, they're selling 1,800 to 2,300 machines a month. So are they going to spend tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars fighting for the right for Seattle and Oregon to have machines when you know, they could live to fight another day and say, okay, well, Enagic Europe, Enagic Canada, and Enagic everything else. And, you know, hey, man, I mean, the problem is it puts so much in jeopardy. And you know, it's kind of like in having the conversation with the lady, you come to the lady that ran the business division. I mean, you come to the realization when you look around. Now, when somebody says like, well, what about Tom Brady? Well, I mean, I see Tom Brady on video making a smoothie. You see him actually touching the machine. You see him using it. He's talking to somebody. It's pretty obvious that, you know, his intent was he was using a Konga machine that day. So how do you handle the slippery slope? But, you know, I had people messaging me and going, well, if Gates doesn't, what about, and sending me this laundry list? What about Trump? What about this? I I wanted to make a post that Kobe was a drinker. What do you know about Kobe? I don't know any of those people. I don't know any of those people. So why would I speak on them?
Right.
I
Exactly.
don't know any of those people. And if I did, you know, if somebody comes out and says something, that's one thing. But the thing is, you know, if you don't know, and the chances are you probably don't, you don't need it in your demo. Talk about it, you know, and we should probably transfer over to what she said is acceptable. But, you know, we can talk about the benefits of an antioxidant. We can talk about the benefits of what an antioxidant does for your body. We can speak to all those things. Go look up tomorrow, you know, instead of focusing on, you know, if Kobe Bryant was a water drinker, or if, you know, Donald Trump is, or if, you know, Bill Gates is, and, you know, get a list of what antioxidants do as a healing property in the body. There's your demo. Liz and I looked at each other when this lady was done talking and goes, this is so much better. It's so much simpler.
Yeah.
You know, you start telling people that it does 563,000 things, and of course it's too good to be true for somebody who's never heard of it. You know, I've done, you know, 2,000 demos in my life. To me, it's just second nature of how amazing this water is. I've seen the results in hundreds and hundreds of families. When you think about being new and the first time you heard about this, JG, it's like if somebody would have talked to you the way half the people do at these demos, you'd have thought, they're out of their mind. I mean, they just make it sound too good to be true. We don't need that.
Right. Yeah, and I personally, I don't want any of that kind of stuff. I want to use, you know, like Jerry has been so adequate at pointing out, we don't need to do any of that stuff. We got to quit it.
Right.
And, you know, it's simply not necessary. Why in the heck would we be doing something that is simply not necessary to do? And I want to encourage everybody that's watching this on the live side to keep your eyes peeled for the recording that's going to get posted here later on today. And please share this episode of the Kong Family Show. Share it far and wide. Share it everywhere. This is super, super important information. And with that, let's transition into talking about the meeting that took place here in Seattle. And, you know, we'd love to hear whatever it is, because this all goes hand in hand. Everything we're talking about today, it all goes perfectly hand in hand together with, you know, this is just kind of expanding on what Jerry put out a month and a half ago. And just, you know, we really need to get people to understand just how important this is. Understand that EnagicUSA could disappear just like that and be gone. And everybody's livelihoods who are making a livelihood out of it, who are planning on it, who are trying to do it, blah, 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 it's gone just like that. All because some stupid person wasn't willing to just follow the rules. And, you know, the fact a lot of people will say, like I've even said, that, yeah, the FDA shouldn't exist here. Well, whatever. Guess what? They do. And
yeah, they're not going anywhere,
bud.
bud.
Their rules, man. That's all there is to it, period. And so, you know, if I'm rolling that direction, then anybody can, because I guarantee you nobody hates those entities more than I do. And,
Sure.
you know, so go ahead, Dan, why don't you go ahead and, you know, fill us in with whatever you think is the most important aspects of what you attended, the meeting you attended, and what was said, and how we can utilize it. What are the positives out of that? What do we have a good positive thing to end this baby with today?
I think the biggest positive is, so Enagic is very, very conscious of wanting to be a next level company. They're you know, we all know that they could hand a check to Tom Brady tomorrow and be spread out throughout the world with one sentence. They wouldn't need us anymore, but they want to grow Enagic organically. And so what they've done is they've gone and hired a pretty big lady from Avon, who was with Avon for 10 years, who handled marketing, development, things like that. She's very, you know, she's not exactly, and fair enough to her, she's not super savvy on like exactly everything that's going on with Enagic, you know, pay plan and step up bonuses and things like that, but that's not her job. Her job is big picture vision, the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years, expanding the global brand here in the US, but doing it, you know, through the proper channels and getting the name of Enagic out there so that we can grow into the company that is the next microwave. So I'll give you an example. You know, a lot of people were like, oh my God, look at this show that's on designing spaces, right? Did you see that this week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody was passing it around. Well, that was actually done and promoted and marketed by Enagic, and got onto, you know, regular national TV or whatever kind of TV that is, and just gave every distributor in America some really cool exposure. It's incredibly professionally done. It was on television. It's even on Enagic's, I think it's up on Enagic's website now to be shown around. So Enagic is in the process of working on different demographics that will that they would like to hit with the Kangen machine. And so that was the first of 3 commercials that they're going to put out. There's going to be 2 more episodes of that, whatnot, that are going to be made catering to different demographics. So I thought that was very cool. Enagic is working on a kind of a one-step, one vision demo for us all to use. It's kind of like I said earlier, you know, if Sean's my upline and Sean learned his demo from his upline and he learned from his upline and then I learned from Sean and then I've taught, you know, 300 people that are in my downline, the demo plus or minus changes 1 or 2%, right? With every demo. And here's where Enagic started. And now here we are way off in left field. And that's how we got from Bill Gates having 8 machines to 52 in 2 years, right? And it's just, the story is always changing. So what Enagic really wants to do is work on a Enagic certified demo of what can be said and not said. And that way, if everybody deviates 1 or 2%, at least we're in the same ballpark. We're in the same parking lot, right? We're not, here you are over here and whoa, your demo's way out here, brother. That's some, you know, so we kind of have a template which we can all work from. And I really appreciate that because I think it's needed. And you know, some people are like, well, you could say, you know, molecular hydrogen is the smallest molecule, and some people microclustering, and oh, you can't say micro. So they're coming out with a demo that we can all use as a template to work off of.
Yeah, that would be really great to, you know, like, for example, and this is something that I'm trying to figure out how to deal with, is that this young kid did this video that's 14 minutes and 33 seconds long. And it literally goes through every single aspect of this water in 14 minutes and 33 seconds. And when I watched it the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the best thing I've seen. And,
is that Aldrin Vasante?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. Great video. Love it.
Except it's got one couple of problems with it. Right at the very beginning, he says Bill Gates and the Seattle Seahawks have Kong machines. Well, Bill Gates doesn't. Not sure about the Seattle Seahawks. We got somebody that's an insider in that regard too, that's in the process of trying to figure out whether that's true or not. So, you know, like we need to reach out to Vicente and let him know that that needs to be stripped from his video.
Sure.
And
otherwise, it's probably the best. Otherwise, it's probably the best Enagic video I've ever seen made.
Yeah,
I love it.
He does such a spectacular job with that video. I was just like, man, that just makes me proud of that. I mean, not proud, but happy for that kid because that's awesome. He's just a young whippersnapper, and here he is put together this freaking awesome video.
It's amazing,
and it's great. It just needs to have the whole Bill Gates reference taken out, and you know, we know for a fact that there's a Seahawks player who has common water, but we don't know that the Seahawks actually have it for their team. And you know, personally, I'd rather see stuff like that taken out. I don't think it's necessary. Like you said, I don't think that stuff's necessary. I could care less whether Bill Gates has a Kong machine or not, to be honest with you, you know.
Well, you know, and the thing is some people like it because they say, oh, when I'm dealing with athletes, hey, there's tons of stuff with athletes. You know, go to H2 Minutes. There's molecular hydrogen for athletes. There's all kinds of information on what it does for the blood, what it does for lactic acid removal. There's all kinds of stuff that would make sense. You can show somebody a picture or show somebody a video of Brady using a smoothie machine right next to his Conga machine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in my opinion, until somebody tells me, that's way different than, hey, this guy owns 52 machines, but I mean, he's standing there using the machine. So I think that that's a little safer, you know, sandbox to play in. But, you know, there's a lot of sports references out there that are usable, including just back to what I said, what antioxidants, what molecular hydrogen does for the body, what it does for an athlete is well documented. There's a lot of information out there.
Yeah. For anybody that's interested, as far as that whole thing with Tom Brady, it's an NFL Films production. It was done by NFL Films. I saw it. It's called Tom versus Time. And it very clearly shows him using an SD501 Platinum in his kitchen, making himself a smoothie. And you see the machine right there in the video, and that's NFL Films. They're the ones who did that. And it's out there public. And you know, we don't want to be saying that he authorizes anything or anything like that, but it's public record that he has a machine and uses it. And you know, so anyway, what else do you have to say about what took place there at the meeting in Seattle?
Well, she was just very, very adamant about the very adamant about the income and the medical claims. They for one reason or another don't particularly want people using the Shinya, don't want people using the 100% do not want people using Peggy Parker's books.
Any of them, like the one that shows people how to use it in their home, like to go chemical free in their home, or does it seem?
I don't know that necessarily that would be wrong, but I think there is some where she like actually physically writes about doing her own studies. You know, like she has a 6 or 7 minute video out there on YouTube where she says, you know, I was a skeptic of the water, so I did my own studies with my own patients, and here's what the 12 of them came back. And she said, it's all great information, but she said, but as far as they are concerned, unless you do a study with 2,000 people with what really only the pharmaceutical companies can afford to do that kind of stuff, it can't be called a study.
Right. And even from what I understand, even Horst Filzer's book that was actually sanctioned by Enagic, he was their medical advisor, and he did the thing while working for Enagic, and we can't even use that either. And
because the test study didn't involve the minimum required amount of people per the FDA or FTC or whatever.
Right. Yeah. See, there's always some sort of a little thing, and the thing for all of us to remember is that it doesn't matter. We don't even need all this stuff. And, you know, all we need is to just simply tell the truth. Now, Dan, was there any kind of mention about a person being able to say their own story? You know, like, hey, this is what happened for me.
Yeah. For a second. He asked about your own testimony, which she did speak of.
Yeah, but said we still need to be careful with that too.
Sorry, she just kind of half woke up. I'm dragging her on camera right here.
Hey, JJ.
Good morning, you sweet angel.
Yeah, Paula did speak about our own testimonials, that we really should keep them out of our demos, that we can, you know, share one-on-one about our personal experience, but we should really leave them out of our demos, is what I heard.
And I know that every single one of us has experienced this. You know, my buddy that I just bought a machine that's been following me for a couple of years, one of his questions to me when we were on the phone the other day was, what have you felt? What have you seen? What's happened for you? Mm-hmm. And, you know, hey, the barometer in my knee's gone. But, you know, what I always try to encourage everybody to do, and we do this ad nauseum here on the Kong Family Show, is that we make it very, very clear to everybody that Kangen water didn't cure squat. Quit saying that. It doesn't cure anything. Never will, never has, never could. What does the curing is this thing right here, this amazing machine that it's amazing what it does. You cut your finger, it goes in and fixes itself. You don't need to do anything. You just keep it clean, it'll fix itself, you know, and just.
Well, yeah. And you know, JJ, an alternative to a testimony is saying, this water has been so amazing in my life. It has changed my life. That should be enough. That's the truth. If people want to know more, we can sit down and have a cup of coffee, and we can talk about how I sleep better, my skin's better, my digestion's better, everything like that. But what we can transmit this into is why I'm doing it. This has had an effect on my life, and I can't not share it. That's the truth. That's as simple as that. We can make up any story we want to around it, but we have whys, right? We can talk about our whys. I do this because I don't want the plastic around the planet anymore. I do this because I see kids drinking soda and I think it is horrible. You know, there's so many more things that we can say rather than sitting in a story that actually can create limiting beliefs. You know, that I can only help people who are sick. That's a limiting belief because I was sick once. You know, so there's a lot of ways to, you know, to transmute this into something that's way more positive and way more visionary and way more grand than any of us can really, you know, put into a story, you know?
And JJ, like I was doing a demo last night. I did a lady said she found me on the internet. I drove, she happened to live 10 minutes away. I said, I'll come over, do a demo for you and your husband, pop a machine in your house for a week, see how you feel. And with the new information that the lady gave me, so I showed the lady the chlorine in her house, because she goes, you know, we make efforts, we're using a Berkey filter and stuff like that, but she wasn't using the Berkey for her produce. She wasn't using, obviously, to shower. She said, you know, matter of fact, 9 times out of 10, we have a Berkey sitting here, but we don't really use it. We reach for the tap water or the filtered water in the kitchen. And so all I really did was focused in on, here's what the antioxidants have the ability to do. And if it makes sense to you, I've put my body in the best chance to heal itself because, and I held up the chlorine glass, because I'm no longer having to deal with all of these things. My body's not having to work harder than it used to when I used to put this in here, right? I mean, they're looking at the chlorine, they're looking at the EWG report of the arsenic and the chromium hexavalent, and they're looking at all these things that are in their house. And I just said, wouldn't it make sense if you had an abundance of antioxidants in your body and you weren't having to deal with this every single hour of every single day? My body has had the chance to heal itself. And that made sense to them.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much the moral of the story today, kids, is that we just simply don't need to deal with any of this kind of stuff. We don't need to be, you know, making any kind of claims about anything. We really don't. And it doesn't, you know, when you're, just be careful whenever you're, you know, if somebody asks you, a friend asks you what it's done for you, you know, you can one-on-one tell them, hey, you know, it helped with my headaches, this, that, and the other. But please, always, please, and encourage all of your teammates to remember this. Always, no matter what you say, no matter what it has done for you, whether it's cholesterol or anything like that, always make sure to remember to end it with the caveat that it didn't cure anything. What did the magic? What is the magic? What performs the magic is this thing. It's so crucial that we make sure to always end everything that we're talking about with the fact that this is the magic. This isn't magic water. This is a magic machine right here. And if we make sure to always let people know and reiterate that over and over and over and over and over again, whenever we see somebody post a post saying, you know, and Kangen water cured this or cured that, we need to fire back with, no, it didn't. And you need to quit saying that. And, you know, explain to them why and give them a copy of this video right here so they can understand it. And
JJ, Roger said, send it to me. I didn't know what he's asking to be sent. So if you're on here, Roger, and you want to clarify, now's a good time.
Yeah, I would like look for that video, that little kid or whatever you were talking about before. With the water demo.
He's talking about that Desante.
Oh, is he talking about the uniform demo from Enagic?
No, the Visante video.
Oh,
Talking about that.
Oh,
the young
Aldrin
kid.
Visante? Oh, yeah, yeah.
That
JJ, you can send that to him, can't you?
Yeah, I just hopped late on and I heard about talking about that short video from that little kid or whatever you were talking about, 14 minutes long.
Yeah, Aldrin's actually, I believe he's in his mid-20s to late 20s or something, but it's an excellent video, and I'm sure JJ kind of disappeared. I'm not sure where. JJ, you're there?
yeah, I'm here. I had to go to the little boys' room real quick.
Okay, so Roger was asking for the Aldrin Visante video, and I told him that you could probably get it to him.
Oh yeah, actually right now, you guys, I'm using it on my Kangen water, my Kongs Water website, so you can just go to kongswater.com and it's right there. And
Thank you very much.
I'm not gonna keep that up for too much longer. I need to get it off of there just because of the fact that it's got the reference to Bill Gates. But it's such a dang good video. I got to get a hold of Aldrin and see if I can get him to edit that out of there. If any of you guys know how to get a hold of him, will you please reach out to him and give him the heads up on this and encourage him to get that out of there, because it's such a wonderful video. It just sucks that it's got that in it, you know? It's like, cow. And
So Gates has none.
No,
He has none. Gates has no machines.
no machines.
as of 9 months ago, and no, he does no machines.
That's so crazy. That's good to hear. I thought maybe he had a few, and then the numbers just kept growing because
No.
people like to exacerbate their third leg length. But nevertheless, yeah, we don't want none of that in there.
You know, and the
That's
funny,
what Dan was talking about, Sean. He was talking about how the numbers have grown from like 8 to 52 or something like that. Last couple
It's
of years.
insane.
well, you know, here's the good news, Sean. He's still free game, brother. You got a shot.
Hey, I got one of his guys. My man James works for him, so I might have to have him get after it.
Running up the flagpole, man.
Well, Sean, that's one thing I said earlier before we shifted gears and went into the meeting up there, is that, hey, what we need to do to solve this issue is just get our buddy Dan Edland to get his butt over there and get that boy a machine sold.
I'll tell you what, JJ, that's a meeting I'd like to get. And, you know, I don't know that it's out of the realm of possibility, but and if I do, you guys trust me, you'll be the first to know. You know,
I can't wait. You know what? I can't wait for the day that I see that post from Dan Edland standing there with Bill Gates, and Bill Gates has got his machine right there. Now that will be an exciting post right there to put out.
right.
Finally is rectified, and now you can go ahead and put your Bill Gates references back in there if you want.
Well, hey, JJ, and the other thing is going back to, let's say hypothetically you were the person. If you were the person that had done 16, 24, 32, 48, and somebody called and confronted you on it, and you absolutely knew in your heart of hearts that you had, I don't think you'd be wishy-washy. I was telling Liz, nobody would be able, I mean, I would be so vocal about the fact of, are you serious? You're calling into question what I did? I'm telling you right now, here's what I did. Here's how it went down. I mean, right? So there would be no backtracking from, if I was the guy that sold him 30 machines, I would be loud and proud about it. I would not be deviating that at all. So, you know, if it ends up happening, I would be very proud to be the one that does it, you know, as anybody would.
Yeah, you know, it's just right there with what Mark Twain said. I believe it was Mark Twain. He said, if you never tell a lie, you don't have to remember anything.
Right. Yeah.
Just don't tell lies. Just, you don't even have to have a memory. Just don't ever lie about it. You don't have to worry about it.
Well, and the gal that was doing the training, you know, she has a good point. I mean, Enagic is moving in a different direction where we're trying to spread awareness. And as you and anybody on this webinar knows, listen, the awareness of the plastic issue grows every day. The tap water in every one of our homes gets worse every day. We're heading for a perfect storm. We just have to be patient. And the thing is, the last thing we need to be doing is lying, fabricating, misleading, or doing any of those things that would get us in trouble, because we're sitting in the catbird seat, man. I mean, we're sitting here waiting for all of this to happen, and it will. The awareness of Enagic grows every day. Like I said, the awareness of plastic, you know, being the scourge of the earth grows every day. We're sitting in the perfect position. And here's the biggest point. When Enagic, when the world catches up to us, we want to still be here. I mean, we want to be here in the 3, 5, 7, 10, 15-year picture, right? And if we keep doing things like that we don't necessarily need to do, we're not going to be around to help anybody. That's a fact.
Yeah. Amen, brother. And that's why I want to encourage everybody that's watching this on the live side, everybody that's here in the room, on the court with us, you know, please, you guys, please share this video. I'll make sure to get this up within the next few hours. I'm going to make it a major thing. A lot of times I get busy and it takes me till the next day or more to get these things up. But this one really requires some attention today. This is a super important show. This is a super, super important subject, and we all need to be aware of it. We need to share it with our teams. We need to make this like must listen to. You must listen to this because, and anytime, and make sure that you save it. Keep it in your playlists or whatever. Keep it somewhere in your bookmarks so that anytime something like this comes up, you can, and all your new distributors, when you get new distributors involved, make sure that this is one of the first things they take the time to watch, because they must understand this, you guys. Enagic's not the one that's in danger. It's EnagicUSA that is in danger.
100%.
Enagic will still rock and roll, and we'll just be out of the picture. And I don't want that. I want to do this. This is life-changing stuff, and I want to be part of it. And I know that all you do as well. So, you know, let's just keep everything on the up and up. There's no need, like Sean said a long time ago, something that has always resonated with me is that we have a company here that we can be proud of, that we do not have to apologize for. And that right there, I'll tell you what, it's worth its weight in gold. You have something that is so solid that we can literally be proud of. Because I don't have any problem whatsoever talking to anybody about this company. This is something that literally every single person in the world needs. And yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Before you wind it down, I want to say something. And I know that you're always looking for amazing guests. And let me tell you, Elizabeth did the Kangen water demo at the Seattle office on Saturday, and it was mind-blowing. And I would support you. And if you're trying to fill a slot, that we get her on completely on her own. You could do 100 shows with her, and people would be interested. And I you know. So let's get her on here one of these days and fill a slot for you, because she just has so much quality stuff. And it's nice when she joins me, but she really has
so much easier to look at.
Much easier. That's what I'm saying.
And she's smarter.
Yeah, she's smart.
You lucky bastard.
I'll tell you what, Sean. If you saw her Saturday demo, it's very, very different than the standard demo. She uses a much different way of coming at people, and she just really resonates from a place of compassion and love. And it's been really, really special to watch her grow. And you know, so if JJ, if you're ever looking for a slot to fill, you know, just keep her in mind.
Yeah. Get her on board, J-Dog. Give her a saddle.
Liz,
I think I just got called out.
Right now. It's not like she's a fly on the wall. She's right here in the room, right there, smiling mug. And so, Liz, I'll tell you what, you just tell me your date. You tell me when you want to do it, and I'd love to have you on there. All you need to do is make sure you got Dan there to film. And we're good to go. And I would love
Sounds good. It's a date.
Because I was actually hoping, you know, back at the beginning of the year, I was hoping, before the beginning of the year, I was hoping that Dan would do his little 15-minute demo, because I wanted to get that, and I was going to put it on my Kangen Water website as my main demo. And so, you know, what I'm looking for is the most powerful thing that I can get that's hopefully within about that 15-minute or so time frame, because you know how it is trying to get somebody to pay attention for more than like 15 minutes. And so, you know, I would love to have you on, Liz. You just let me know, and if I don't hear from you soon, I'll keep reaching out to you and bothering you until you decide which date you want. You know, so I'm always in need of guests. And
well, I got some time this week, so maybe we can figure it out for this week.
Yeah, that sounds great. Like Friday would be perfect, because I've got every day this week covered except for Friday, and then of course Saturday
it is
open too. So
Nice.
whichever one would work best for you, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, if you wanted to do it this week.
Friday sounds good to me.
Friday, baby. Friday, baby.
Friday it is.
Woohoo!
You're right here on the Cobb Family Show, kid. We got the beautiful Elizabeth Chris coming in hot on Friday.
Hey, everybody have a great week. Thank you for letting us share. Appreciate you having us on, and hopefully we can get this information spread out here, and thanks you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
You know, kids, we are the Kong family. We're here to change the world. We're changing the world. Sean?
Love you, JJ.
Sean? What? How is it changing the world again?
One hydrogen rich, oxygen saturated, supremely hydrating. Glass of 9.5 at a time. Thank you very kindly.
Amen, brother. One lightning bolt in a box, one incredible guest, one informative show, one amazing family at a time. Get out there, change the world, kids, starting with your own. And do not forget your hugs. Woody-hoo! Love you guys. Make it a great day. Don't forget to share this video out with people.
Will do, man.
All right, buddy.
Giddy up.
Careful out
Word.
there, Rodgar.
Will do.
Kids, thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here.
Word.
Love you, brother. Be careful.
I love you too, man.
Give that sweetie of yours a hug for me.
Will do. Every morning.
There you go. Later, buddy. Have a great one.
You too, man. Have a good day. Bye-bye.